Hello and welcome to Jags Chat Lounge, and today we'll be discussing mixed marriages, single parents and domestic abuse as well. And today we have our guest who is Sonia. Hi Sonia, and thank you so much for coming on the show today. I know it's going to be quite emotional, but just wanted to say thank you for coming on the show to talk about your experience within a marriage that you were in, a mixed marriage. We won't actually disclose the religion of your ex-partner, but if you can just talk about, was it a love marriage? Was it an arranged marriage? I mean, how did you get to be in this relationship?
It was obviously my own choice marriage. I was very young, very naive. You know, it was like one of those things I could just do almost anything. You know, I was in my 20s. Yeah, he approached me and I thought, I think somehow he managed to convince me he's a very honest, hardworking, loving, caring, supporting man, and I'm very lucky to have him. But it took me quite a few years to realize what I thought of him is nowhere the truth.
Okay. So how long were you with him before you actually got married?
I think we were sort of together for maybe 4 years.
Right, okay.
And then, he all throughout his sort of, he was really adamant, we want to get married. But I was just sort of, I think things weren't ready, and one reason or the other, it just never happened. And then eventually, just sort of, I left home. I didn't tell my mum, or nobody knew, to be honest.
Right, okay.
So I left home. Things were getting really difficult in my home life as well. So I remember just leaving, and then he sort of moved in, and then next thing we went to the registry office, got a date which was like within 4 days. So we had literally had 4 days to kind of put everything together, and I just invited 2-3 of my closest friends. They came, within like 4 days notice, and that was it.
Okay.
And
I mean, as you just said that, your parents didn't know.
No, they didn't know until I was 3 months pregnant with my first child.
Wow. And did you approach them?
No, it's only my mum. I told my sister that I'm married, by the way, and by the way I'm pregnant. So, which she passed on to my mum. Obviously, that didn't go too well.
Okay.
So,
and how's your relationship now with your mum?
Oh, much better. But we went through a phase where I was very isolated, and the way he worked, I don't know how he did it, but I think when I was with him, after the marriage, there was a period for many years that I had no family or friends at all, or very minimum of it. Yeah. So somehow he managed to isolate me from everyone. There was 6 years that I wasn't talking to my mum.
Right.
And there's a lot of things were going on, and to be honest, I just didn't understand it. I just didn't know what was going on. And it's only until I was pregnant with my second child, that's around about 2011, when I start sensing things that this is not right, something's not right.
So when did you suddenly feel that things were changing within the relationship? Obviously in the marriage, things are suddenly, did he change completely, or?
I think there were signs from day one, but I think I was just too naive to see it. My friend, 1 or 2 friends did point it out to me, but I kind of didn't pay attention to it, and I thought, I'm the kind of person who always see good in people. So, I always concentrate on the goodness as opposed to trying to find something bad in people or this and that. I don't have any bad relationship with anyone at all. So it's just not something that I don't read, do you know what I mean? So I just see what people are, and then just see things, I just go with the flow, really. And all I remember is second time when I was pregnant, he was really abusive, very threatening, very, very shouting, screaming. I was crying for so many nights. I used to go into the toilet and hide, and he would knock on the door and says, "Come out, you're so weak, you're this and that, pull yourself together." And he would threaten me. He's even threatened me for another woman, goes, if you behave like this, I'm just going to get another woman, or this and that. A lot of images he would put in my head that would scare the hell out of me.
Can you just briefly explain, I mean, I know it would be a bit quite difficult for you, but the kind of abuse that it was? I mean, obviously, I know there was emotional abuse, but was there any physical abuse that came with that as well? Or?
I wouldn't, no, I don't think it was physical, it was more of emotional, and it's a lot of intimidation and love on my face. Very, very cohesive, very manipulative. You know, it's always his way. Pretty much everything in the house was his decision.
So when you say majority of the things it was his way,
Yeah.
can you give an example of what happened?
Like, for example, when it comes to decoration of the house, it was pretty much him. There was hardly anything in the house that was me.
Right.
I didn't get to choose. Even if I chose a curtain, he would go really, you know, he wouldn't talk to me for 2-3 days. I bought a curtain without telling him. So it threw a bit of tantrum at me, you know, so things like that. It sounds very petty, but, you know, when you put lots of little incident together, and it sounds like, whoa.
And what about, obviously, were you able to go out without his consent, or was it the fact that you had to tell him
Usually
where you were going?
Yeah.
You had to tell him literally everything.
Yeah. But I never had time because I was the one working. So working, come home, do a bit of housework, clean. I just don't have time. I didn't have much time to do social life. I wasn't in contact with most of my friends for years. So it was work, home, and that was it. I didn't really have much life other than that for a long time.
Was he working at all?
No.
He wasn't.
Yeah.
But he was quite demanding as well.
Yeah.
And how did you actually come to deal with terms of, like, did you find that it became the norm to you, that, you know, you're just kind of like getting used to it and everything? I mean, I don't know.
I was trapped in every possible way because he had a control of the money, he had control of everything. He had my passport, the kid's passport, anything and everything. So even if I need to have, like, sometimes he'll take my card out of my purse without telling me. He didn't think it was necessary to tell me, you know. So there's things like that. So I just felt I was trapped. There wasn't any way around other than just getting on with it. And I think the worst fear for me was losing the children, and that's the one that he used from the day one. And that's what he used, using the children to keep me suppressed, and so I just couldn't do anything. I just couldn't react to it.
So obviously, when did you get to speak to your mum?
I think when I was pregnant with my third child, probably just before that.
Just before then?
Yeah.
Okay. Was there ever a time that you told your mum what was going on in the house, or was it the fact that, you know, you just kept it to yourself and you just dealt with?
I didn't tell anyone, not even my closest friend. Even my best friend didn't know nothing what's going on. They thought I'm very happy with my marriage, and I'm the luckiest woman or something like that. But nobody knew. I don't talk to, and within Asian culture as well, this is what we're told. Your marriage life, your personal life is yours. You don't talk about this to another person.
But if it's something like what you went through, in a way, it sounds as though he was, as well as emotionally, he was controlling you.
Yeah.
So you were being controlled by your ex-husband. Now, didn't you ever feel that you wanted to come out of this situation?
I was too scared. I was way
What
too scared.
was your fear?
My kids. I could walk out of the house. I couldn't care less if I have no clothes, no money, no house. It doesn't make any difference to me because I know I can always get them back in my own hard work. That's, you know, this material stuff is nothing. Children, I can't. It's like I'll go weak on mine. I just can't do it. I was just way too scared of it. And because he was he called himself the sole carer for children, the main carer. So he's always says, I'm keeping the children, I'm keeping the house, you can go away. You know, so things like that he would say. He used to text my families and friends saying I'm crazy. So there's a lot of things. So he put a lot of self-doubt about me, my body. I wouldn't be able to look at the mirror thinking I'm very fat. And no, I wouldn't put makeup on. I would dress really baggy clothes, 2 sizes up, because I didn't think I was attractive enough. And things, and I just couldn't do it. And he put a lot of doubt about me as a mother, that I'm not good enough with my kids. If I go out with my children, I'm going to end up losing them, or something really awful is going to happen. So I was damn scared. If I ever drop my kids at school, sorry, I'm getting emotional. He would phone me 100 times. Have you made sure they're gone in? Have you make sure they're gone? Check that they're gone inside the house. Yeah. Inside the school. Don't just walk off, or things like that. They would call me literally every 5 minutes. And that used to really annoy me. First I thought it was funny, he's just being, so cool. But then it used to get annoy me. Then I used to shout and go, can you stop that? I'm a mother. I I do know how to drop children school safely and or pick them up on time and this and that. You know, it's a lot of self-doubt about my body, and the main thing is about me, mentality, to the point I really thought I was mental. I thought, no, I'm so mental. If I tell anyone anything, that they're going to think I'm the crazy one. And I remember when I was pregnant with the third child, it was just getting too much. The last 2 pregnancy was really nightmare. I couldn't even walk because I had SPD, so that's a lot extreme pain. So, but he would force me in a sense to go to work. I didn't want to go to work. I needed time out because it's really affecting my body. But he used to say, if you don't go to work, don't do sick, otherwise you're going to end up losing job. If you lose job, you're going to lose house, we're going to lose kids, we're going to lose this, lose that. He put extreme pressure on my head, and I'm thinking, God, I have to do it. It would hurt like hell. When at that time I didn't have a car or anything. So with my condition, having to go to work every day, it was really, really hard. And I work in a very big hospital. Everybody see me, in pain. Even now, they remember me from years ago, how much pain I was in. They always ask me, how's the babies, how's things? How did you manage to come to work with this much pain? Do you know what I mean? And the spending with my third child, when she was 6 months, I couldn't take it. I remember because I haven't slept for nights, because I'm breastfeeding, I've got all this 100 thing going on. And I just remember there was one day that, you know what, I want to go to sleep and I don't want to wake up. And I told him, can you take the kids because I really need to sleep. And sorry.
Don't worry, it's okay.
And I said to him, give me paracetamol and give me some sleeping tablets, so I can just sort of have a little time out. And it was a very hot day, so he wasn't very happy the fact that he had to walk in the sun with the kids, because it affects him. So rather than thinking about me that I need some rest, and so he said, oh, you better not do something stupid. Just why you have to be like this? You're so weak. So as a woman out there, have so many kids, they're normal, they're fine. What's wrong with you? This is the kind of stuff he would come up with. And I just remember, you know what, I just can't do it. There's nothing to me, because he's keeping the kids, he's keeping everything. There's no way out. Nobody knows nothing. So I kept taking the tablets, and I couldn't stop myself. And I'd sort of gone through halfway the tablet, and I go, damn, what am I doing? So I remember chugging it away, and I'm thinking, you know what? It's just my head was really, really hurting. It's like part of me just want to go to sleep and not wake up. And the other way is, and that's not me. It's because I'm such a positive person. I've been through so much so much throughout my life. And always say, my way is, there's always a way, there's always a way. So that's how I always believed. And it just wasn't, and I just remember calling a friend of mine, and I was saying, I don't know what's going on, but something's not right. My head's, I've just taken like tablets, and I think something's happening. And I could feel the effect, and I go, oops. And you have this flash sort of life, go, damn, what have I done? I thought literally got minutes to live. I thought this is it, and I regret that moment so much. It was probably the most scariest moment for me. And I thought, you know what, I can't do this. I don't want to die. There's no way hell I'm going to die. So I kept throwing water on my head. I just find a way to come down, because my friend called the ambulance. So I opened the door, waiting out. And I said, there's no way I'm going to close my eyes, because there's no way. I don't want to die. I do not want to die. I want to live. And I seriously forced the effect of the sleeping tablets was going on in my body. Because no way, I'm not doing this, because I'm going to find my way out of this. And obviously went to the hospital, and they drained this whole thing out and everything. It's a very, very scary moment of my life, but I think that was my turning point. That was the turning point for me.
I mean, I remember when we were talking one time, and you did tell me about when you were in hospital. And he actually came to the hospital, didn't he?
Yeah.
And what did he say at that? He still
Yeah.
was blaming you for quite a lot of things, wasn't he?
First, straight away when I was in, because obviously during the night I was half unconscious anyway. So when he come in the morning, straight away with the children, goes, oh, I'm so sorry. I know it's my fault. I'm really gonna make it work. And this is something that he always does. Every time something does, he goes, oh, I'm sorry, it's my fault. But then generally says, oh, you made me with this and that. That's his normal way of saying it. Mm-hmm. But this time, I said, he meant, we're gonna make it work together. Let's just don't talk, otherwise they're gonna take the kids away. So again, he put that fear inside my head that if I was to open up to anyone, health professional, of what has happened, the kids will be gone. So he's putting the kids right in front of me at that time. So my baby was little, you know.
Yeah.
And the other two children were quite young as well. So, you know, on that stage, I'm vulnerable. So, and I'm looking at my kids' faces, and I'm thinking, God, I don't want to lose my children. And I think looks like he's going to be okay. Things going to be okay. So I kept my mouth shut. I didn't tell anyone.
Did you ever feel that while you were in hospital, that was your opportunity to talk to them in confidence, they could have helped you at that stage?
No, because of the fear that I'm going to lose my kids, because that's the thing he said to me, that just, you know, we're going to work together, just so, you know, otherwise they can take the kids away. We don't want to do that. You know, so I just remember seeing my kids' faces and those kind of words, and I wouldn't talk. When later on all these professional people come and ask me and all this kind of what happened, I didn't talk about him at all. I just mentioned the stress at work, but I didn't tell nothing. I went to CBT again. I didn't mention anything about him. I went on also support again. You know, I talked about everything else apart from what was hurting me the most, because again I was just too scared. And I think when I did some counselling courses, just sort of to my own personal development. And there was lots of ladies who's also been through a lot of, you know, sort of similar, and they start talking about things, and I started recognizing some of those stuff, and I'm thinking, hang on. So words like narcissism, okay, that's interesting. That, you know, that fits his profile quite a lot, because he's very charming. Don't get me wrong, he's not very aggressive. He doesn't do that much. Oh, you have to do this, you can't do this. He doesn't do too much. The way he does it very kind of cohesive, manipulative. You don't even realize you're doing it, and that's what hurts a lot. And so all these new words I learned, I didn't understand it. Narcissist and things like drama triangle, gaslighting, you know, all of this.
Do you just want to explain to people who are watching, you know, the words that you've just mentioned, what they...
I think you're probably best to explain that better than I am.
Do you just, like, what made you realise what...
I think at that time I was started to figure things out, that this is obviously not going right, and I'm, you know, especially about drama triangle, I'm going to be stuck in this for a long time. There is no way out of it. It's just the way things are. But again, it's one of those things, because of my fear of losing children far more greater than anything else, I was almost paralyzed from taking any actions. So again, I wasn't doing anything about it, and I wasn't talking to anyone about it. And I just remember at work, some incident must have happened. I can't, because I think he just keeps taking money out of the account and there's nothing left, or other stuff going on. I just remember breaking down and crying my eyes out at work. And then one lady, one of my work colleagues, and this has happened 3 years ago, by the way. So she comes in and she had a little chat, and we're talking, and that's the first time I opened up. It was the first time I opened up to someone, you know, other than, and talked about a couple of incidents, and I said, this has happened. And then she's, in the end of the conversation, she did a little prayer with me, and she said, do you realise that domestic abuse? And I was like, looked at her and go, what do you mean? Because I'm aware of domestic abuse. I know about the physical violence a lot of friends have been through, but and she goes, and she explained to me, because it sounds like it's emotional abuse. And I go, what does that mean? She goes, if you look into the Women's Aid website, you'll be able to see. And I goes, okay. So I went on the website, I looked up, and there's about 18 list of things that comes under that, and I could tick 11. And I was like, oh, I was shocked. I was like, whoa. Then I started, you know what, I don't like this, and I started to talk more about it. So I opened up to a few of my closest friends. I started talking to my friend. I told you about him already when you first met him, but you didn't listen to me. And bless my friend, you know, and a few other friends that very close to me, I started talking to them about it, and I told them what's happening and this and that, and briefly told my sister as well. At that time, my mum relationship was good, and she was very nice to my husband, and everything was really good. So I didn't tell her the problems, and it just sort of talking about, again, I didn't take any action because I was still scared. I was telling the story to everyone, I was opening up, but I was still too scared to take action. And every time I opened up, every one of my friends would say, why are you with him? Why are you with him? Why don't you just leave him? I was like, I can't. I'm going to end up losing my children. I'm going to do. I can't let forget it.
That's because he obviously put that into your head that he's going to take the kids away from you.
I couldn't do it. And there's just incident after incident. It was just going through. And I think when this is last year, so when my youngest child is probably 4. So you're talking about many, many years of even knowing what's happening. I still carry on because the fear that I can't lose. I can't even thought of losing my children. I can't do it.
There was a stage where I remember you telling me also about when you were talking about your clothes and like he was making you feel fat and everything, that when you opened up your cupboard, everything was literally black,
brown and grey.
Yeah, so it was all the dark and the dull colours that you were wearing.
I mean, I don't know if you remember in my 20s when at that time I wear brightest clothes, lots of jewellery. I had bangles, big earrings, makeup, heels, you know, really dress up. And I was out, I would stand on the bus stop and people would, you know, stop the car and trying to give me a lift because I was so much noticeable. You know, people used to notice me. And I don't and my friends, you know, they liked my brightness and the attitude, and I'm always happy and, you know, I'm always outgoing. And then how it happened, I don't even know. All I remember is one day when I was doing my courses and stuff, and, you know, we're talking about personal development and stuff. I said, oh, looks like your favourite colour is black. And I go, no, my favourite colour is red and yellows and black, you know, red, yellows and blues and stuff. So, and I just looked at my wardrobe and I go, damn, how did that happen? And most of the clothes I have bought it myself. Is, you know, he hasn't told me you're gonna buy black, but it's just the way it's when we go shopping. Or goes, oh, what shall I get? Oh, black suit. Black goes with everything. That's his favorite color, by the way. His favorite color is black. Mine was never. Mine always been blue, reds, and yellow. I love brighter, bold colors, flowers, and everything. And all I remember is whole of my wardrobe was darker colors, and that's something. And now I wonder, everyone's thinking, well, you're always wearing black. I think, where's that come? And this is how serious things I got, not even realizing it. And this is what narcissist people or people with coercive behavior gets into your head, and you don't realize that what you're doing exactly how they want it. You're almost turning into him. My language changed, my attitude changed, there's so much of me. I lost myself. You lost
your identity.
Everything.
So you were what he wanted you to be.
Yeah, I don't know what I became in the end. I couldn't even recognize myself. It was just horrible experience. And I think if it wasn't my friends, and to be honest, my mom was the last person I actually told. Which is, and my mom almost she felt really sad for me. And she's, being mother, she goes, why don't you just make it work? Let's just forget it, But I think at that time it was just too much. And then, but still, she's still support, and she still think of him. She's still nice to him. And I think if he ever gets to trouble, if he needs something, if he needs if he knocks on my mom's door, mom will open the door for him, and she will treat him just as nice as, in a way as possible. And that's my mom. She's very kind-hearted. The amount of things that she, I just feel very, very blessed to have a mother like her, because I'm learning so much from her. Do you know what I mean? And I sometimes feel really bad that for 6 years that I didn't talk to her. I almost I didn't have anything to do with her.
Wasn't there any stage where you wanted to sit down? Did you ever sit down and talk to him and tell him how you were feeling?
Many times. We've had lots of conversation, and we say, okay, let's just make it work. And I'm the kind of person I can easily leave past behind, because forget the past, let's just
move on.
Start again. Let's start again. Lots of times. Even just before the divorce, we had this incident when I've changed my bank account, and we had a big massive fight, and he said, you know what, we're really gonna make it work. I promise I won't do this. We had that conversation. Within months, again, back to normal.
There's also a time where you talked about the social media, where he was controlling your social media as well. Was that correct?
Yeah, he's had access to my emails, my Facebooks. He had all everything. He had all my life. I didn't have nothing. So it's only last year, I believe, was just that I started to take that control back.
And how did you bring it back? Because obviously,
not without telling you.
For so many years, you went through this abuse. You never spoke to anyone. You felt isolated. Yeah. Then obviously, it seems like your children are your strength in a way, because it's because of them. You just kind of correct me if I'm wrong. It kind of you broke free.
It was.
I'm not saying it was probably easy. But it was probably step by step that you did it. But when was the time that I know you were talking to him and you were telling everyone about your story, but when was the time where you felt that's it now, I've had enough, he just needs to go?
I think when you're in that kind of situation, you go through lots of big incidents and you don't react. Yeah, you don't do nothing about it. You say, okay, fine, it's okay. And then something very, very tiny thing right at the end happens, which is probably nothing, on its own. And that just does it. I think it was more like that. And I don't remember exact incident, to be honest. It was probably around his birthday time, I think. Or just after his birthday. I made an effort for him and stuff like that. And then a week later, I don't even remember things. So something happened and I got really, really angry. And I said to myself, you know what? Enough is enough. And then I sort of told my friend first, because I think even, I was still scared that this is what I want to do, but I'm still scared. I don't know how to go about it. So I sort of talked to my friend, and then she sort of helped me and guided me sort of through. And I just sort of prayed and sort of let things happen, but it's not been easy. Even after I filed the divorce, the amount of harassment I got, the threats he gave me that he's going to keep the house, he's going to keep the children, it wasn't easy at all. It's only when the divorce actually came through, even after the divorce came through, he was still harassing me. He was still threatening me that he's going to come into the house, he's going to do this and that. And then few months later, we had an incident which was using the kids and something to get to me. And I think I just blew up, and I sort of said to him, you know what, I'm not afraid of you anymore. I'm not afraid of you anymore. So you can, and that was it. And I think once he realised that I'm not scared, I've got all my family, I've got all my friends and everybody supporting me, then he backed off. It was a long journey.
I can imagine. And obviously now you're a single mom, and how are you finding it? I mean, being a single mom, looking after 3 kids, how's it for yourself?
It's not easy, never is easy for anyone, but I think I was man of the house all these years. I was the one who went out, made sure there's money coming through, that there's roof, there's food and all that kind of stuff. I did a job that normally a typical husband do in so-called stereotype of Asian families. I did all that. At the same time, I also came home and did the cooking, cleaning as well. My share as well, and being with the kids. So, and I've done so many other things. So I don't think there's anything. I think I have a belief in my ability, which I didn't have previously. I didn't think I could do it, but now when I look back where I am now, and I look back and go, what I've been through and what I've come through, because I can do anything. I could always do it, but I just had a little bit of that. Now I'm back to where I was before, as I've got my colours back.
Yes, I can tell.
I wear my bright colours, my heels, I wear my makeup, do the hair the way I want to do, go where I want to, I go out with my friends and enjoy life. I'm making the most of what I have now, and really, and my kids are my precious jewels. They mean the whole world to me, and my mom, my sister, my closest friend, they mean a lot to me. So that's my treasure more than anything else.
Well, do you know what? Honestly, salute you, because going through so many years of abuse and everything, and you've come out a very strong person. That's what all I can say is you've come out really strong, and you should be proud of yourself. You honestly should be. And for someone who's been in this situation, what would you like to tell other people who are out there? What advice would you give them?
I think family and friends are very important, no matter what relationship you take on. I think don't lose sight of that. Always talk to friends and family, because they're going to be there with you no matter what.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Sonia. Thank you so much for sharing your story, and thank you, everyone. And just remember, Jags Chat Lounge, real life, real stories, real talk. Thank you.